Unfortunately, just as we pulled out of the Cars That Goes garage, we realized that the Superboss was back to its old tricks, which means chowing spark plugs. And that meant that we had to take out our last set of spark plugs and do a quick early morning spark plug change before we could join the run. Good grief, what a crap start to the day. Really have to find a solution to this Superboss diet of spark plugs in my nervous system. I had to change the spark plugs again. I mean, it's now the last 3 drives. Every time I had to change the spark plugs. Can't be right. The car's restorer, the person who built the car, says, you know, this car is a racing car and it's got the Group N racing chip in it, so it throws a lot of fuel. But I just can't believe that this could be even sold as a car that you could potentially consider driving every day. It is just impossible. Anyway, on to happier things. Today we are off to a meet. The Superboss owners group invited us to bring the SentiMETAL Superboss, and a lot of people are very keen to see it because the car used to be Joburg based and now it's in Cape Town, and they've seen all the videos and they really want now to see the car. So I'm going to bring it through, hopefully see some other cool Superbosses as well, and hopefully we don't have any breakdowns. I'm going to head out to Somerset-West side again. It seems like I head out to Somerset-West almost every day these days for classic car related stuff, and hook up with the guys at the petrol station, and then from there on we're going on to Lawrenceford estate, where there's the Abru Motor Studio, which is in future going to be an awesome car museum. They've already got a great selection of cars there, and yeah, we're going to park there and just chill. You know, some of the guys are going to have a drink, and I will probably disappear and head for Clarence Drive, which is a great driving road, and seeing as I'm all the way out here and I've got a great driver's car. You know, there's a lot to be said about the Superboss's race pedigree. I mean, there's no question about it. It is legendary. Its giant slaying capability, its performance, and on the right road, how much fun it is to drive. But to drive from point A to point B, this is one of the worst cars in the world. Honestly, I think if I was given the choice between this and what is a really difficult, temperamental car, let's say a Ferrari F40. I was given a choice between this and a Ferrari F40 to drive home to work every day. I think I would opt for the Ferrari F40 because it will probably be more comfortable and less temperamental than this car. That says a lot from what I hear. So the reason why the Superboss is such a heavily compromised road car is because it was built to be a race car. Nothing in here really speaks to comfort at all, except for one thing, which is weird, because obviously they wanted it to be as light as possible, so they stripped out everything. So there's no aircon. It's got a fan, but the fan at maximum volume or maximum speed blows like, you know, when you breathe on something to wipe it clean. That is maximum fan speed in a Superboss. Also the temperature. There's no power steering. In fact, the steering is the slowest, the heaviest I think that I've ever experienced in a car. And for a car that weighs less than a ton to have steering that is so heavy is just incredible, and so slow. I mean, Mike Briggs, who used to race this, was a scrawny looking guy, I always thought, watching Group N racing back in the day. But you know, under those racing overalls, he must have had like Arnold Schwarzenegger biceps. And then you've got the fact that, okay, and then also they've taken out the radio, which, fair enough. I mean, this is like a RS version of a Porsche or a Club Sport or something. So you want to strip out weight. So you take out the radio, you take out the aircon. But then why leave a 5 cassette deck holder in the car? For what? You put tapes in there and then what? You can't play it. Anyway, so yeah, terrible steering, no aircon, no sound system, but look, the engine sounds great. But then what makes this car almost impossible to drive on South Africa's roads, except on a road like Clarence Drive, is that manifold fancy that gives it the extra power that cools underneath the engine in front is about this high off the ground, and I'm not exaggerating, this high. So every dip, every manhole cover, every pothole, you wince, because you're probably going to bottom out and break an engine mounting, and that's happened to us before. So unless it's a very smooth road, yeah, it's hard work, man. This car is really hard work. Right, so we've arrived. I already see a couple of other hot Opels, just overtaken by one. I think to be safe, I'm going to do a oil and water check and also tire pressures. I'm going to turn the camera around so you guys can see when I show up. Okay, there's one. Parked right next to a black Superboss. Some more bad news, guys. Sorry, I left my gimbal at the office. Yeah, it's really turning out to be quite a challenging day, so you might get some shaky footage today, especially as it is quite windy. But here on the Superboss owner's drive today, we already have a few cars arriving, including of course our little Burgundy beauty. And eventually she ran very nicely here, but what a pain in the ass to get her started this morning. Let's hope there's a whole bunch more coming. So although this was a Superboss owners meet, it was not restricted to only Superbosses. In fact, Opels of all types were welcome, but predominantly GSIs of this generation Kadett showed up, and it was quite interesting to see how the owners visually put their own personal stamps on these vehicles. Here comes the real deal, I think. Can you believe these two cars are just 2 VIN numbers apart? I'm going to show you on the glass quickly. So there's ours, 555 395, and on this one 555 397. How amazing is that? I wonder what's happened to 555 396. Ooh, and I've just spotted something else I like very much. Opel Monza CD, which is like the booted version of the Kadett, and the CD was like super luxury, but still with the 2-litre 16-valve engine. This was a really fast little compact sedan. Now, what you guys don't know is I grew up in the back seat of an Opel Record. So for me growing up, this, when they brought out this 3.8 litre, it was like the dream car. So it looks in very good condition. Lovely thing. Still on its original wheels, I think. Oh man, this brings back memories. Of course it has a tow bar. This was a great towing. The Opel fanatics of Cape Town quickly gathered around our Superboss and admired Werner Meyer, the master Superboss rebuilder's handiwork. Werner, you're a legend, even down here in Cape Town. So here we go. After the little meetup at the engine garage, yeah, it was so cool to see how everyone is so excited to see this specific car, because it's been made famous by all the films, and it's for a lot of the people there become quite a famous car. So it's really cool to see that interest. So I've even been given the honors of leading the pack to Lawrenceford estate, where we're going to all get together, and there will be even more cars there. So apparently we're not going for a drive, which is surprising to me, but probably a good thing. You know, it's quite a hot day, but there are some clouds coming over, so I wonder, seeing as I'm out here in Somerset-West with the Superboss, whether I shouldn't just you know, go tackle Clarence Drive, make a little bit of a drive video. I think that should be good. I'm here anyway, so stay tuned for that. The storied Lawrenceford estate is definitely a far prettier setting for a car meet than a petrol station, that's for sure. And joining us on these beautiful green lawns was this silver grey metallic Superboss beauty. What a stunner. I just love how these guys make these cars their own, add their own little touches to them. This car always had a very pretty bum. So, also at Lawrenceford is the Abru Motor Studio, and here we've got another South African special, Mini 1275 GTS, and this one has never been registered. It's only done 127 kilometers. This thing is priceless. It's an incredible find. If you want to build a South African collection, that is one to have, and that is, I don't think you'll ever find a better one to have than that. So Abru Motor Studio here at Lawrenceford Estate. If you love cars, good vibes, really cool place to visit. Some very special cars around there. If you love your Alpha GTVs, have a look at these two beauties. Sure, 156 GTA, BMW 6, and look at that GTR R33 up there. very pleasant. Didn't really know what to expect, and I'm also not really a huge fan of brand specific or car specific meets, because it's a bit, boring. But the thing about, I guess, what I found out about Superboss owners is that not everyone keeps their car stock, not everyone is finicky about the same thing. They're all just passionate about Opel in the first place, and then the legend of the Superboss, and they make the best with what they can, and some of them are extremely creative in the way that they change the car's appearance. I mean, that black one to me really looked awesome. But courtesy of the people at Abru Motor Studio at Lawrenceford, this Soupy was announced best of the day, and so I got this very nice keyring, which is great because I don't actually have an Opel keyring for this car. Or maybe I'll just take it from my Opel GT. I don't know yet. We'll see. No, the Superboss won this. It will have this. Also, they will be giving 500 Rand to us to donate to whatever charity we would like. And I'll speak to Chiro. I think he's got some good contacts in that space, who we can hand over 500 bucks to for a deserving cause. So yeah, had fun, met some great Superboss enthusiasts, had a great blast in the car, won best in class, and something good comes from it. It's and just a shout out to Dylan, who fixed, I think, this car's overfueling problem by finding out and tightening that the SFI box at the top, that two of the bolts were loose, and so with a number 5 Allen key he tightened those, and so far so good. I guess we will only really know next time we start the car, but I do think that's probably a big part of the problem that we've had with this car. So thanks, Dylan, appreciate it. So if you're watching this from somewhere else and you don't know what the fuss is about a Superboss, or what a Superboss even is, I even have it on my shirt, which you can buy on the SentiMETAL store. It is a legendary car in South Africa. It comes from a period when local motorsport was really at its peak, and we had really fierce competition in Group N racing between BMW and Opel. And Opel was like, like the little David against the Goliath of BMW. And they developed in South Africa this very special version of the Opel Kadett GSi called, well, officially just called the S. But it's not very special or memorable, is it? So it got the nickname Superboss because in South Africa, and this is where it gets complicated if you don't know South African motoring history, and specifically Opel's, is you had the Baby Boss, which was the original 1.8 litre GSi of this generation. Then you had the Boss, I guess, the standard Boss, which was a 2 litre 8 valve. Then you had the Big Boss, which was the 2 litre 16 valve, and then you had the Superboss, which was the 2 litre 16 valve but with a little bit of extra. I might have gotten that wrong. Something didn't feel right when I said it, but anyway, this is like the top dog of the Kadett GSi in the world ever, because it was only made in South Africa. So what they did is up the power to 125 kilowatts. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that this car weighs less than a ton. It had a very, very, very trick limited slip differential, so it really put the power down very well, and it was lowered a heck of a lot, so much though that they had to roll the insides of the rear wheel arches so that the wheels wouldn't rub against the bodywork, and a few other tricks The result was it was just almost unbeatable on the racing circuit, and it became this iconic car. And for Opel diehards, and you really have to be a diehard these days because Opel is in such bad shape in this country, the Superboss is peak Opel. So how special is a Opel Kadett GSi Superboss these days? You know, not that long ago, not that many years ago, you could pick these up, scruffy condition, for a lot less than 100,000 Rand. We're seeing cars being advertised now, obviously not scruffy ones, for R500,000 around about there. So I think if you have one of the best Superbosses in the country, and this is one of them, you're probably looking at about R500,000 Rand for one these days. The car has incredible racing pedigree. It was only built ever in South Africa for South African racing, and nobody knows exactly how many they made. They were supposed to make 500 because that was the rule to go racing, but whether they actually made 500 is a different story. They might even have made more, who knows. But what we do know from some detective work is that you're probably looking at around 90 to 100 of these left that are sort of, I guess, in drivable condition, or at least still on the system. So this is a very rare car now, and the international market is also starting to wake up to its unique appeal, collector appeal. And certainly if you're building a collection of South African special cars, which you know we do at SentiMETAL and Cars at Koza, then this is definitely a car you have to have in your collection. But then you know Superbosses and Superbosses as well. So you have to know your story, because what you want a 125 kilowatt tag in the engine bay, not a 115 kilowatt tag. You want a 125 kilowatt tag, even though they both make the same power supposedly. You want the 125 kilowatt tag, you want the Cosworth head, you want the Schrick cams, you want the whole thing. And this car has all of that. So it is built to what is the dream Superboss spec. I believe that they built one with air conditioning for a Delta Motor Corp exec back in the day to drive daily. I'd really like to meet that man. He must have been a special character, but because to daily this car, I think I would die. I think it's just impossible, to be honest. To stop here. This place is very famous for its German sausage, Alpine curry, I think, or something. It's Alpine Cuisine. So if you ever happen to find yourself in Cape Town and Somerset-West and specifically, you have to take a drive on Clarence Drive. Especially if you like driving. It is just a beautiful road to drive hard. And there's also, on certain days, Alpine Cuisine. Some real proper German food here. And I've been told about this so many times, I simply have to try it today. So let's see what it's like. Hey guys.
Hi.
I've heard so much about your place.
Yeah, that's great.
That was a fantastic sausage roll. Check out AA Food on Instagram. I think the German guy's name is Peter. That was very good and very affordable as well. Now this road. You know why the Superboss is such an amazing car to drive is firstly you've got this combination of incredible tractability. It's a naturally aspirated engine, obviously. High revving engine, 7,000 RPM. You've got this limited slip diff at the front, which is unique to this car. And once you know how to drive this car, you can put the power down so good in the car out of the corners and just blast. It's obviously a lot lower, so I mean there's basically no body roll, and it's just set up to be a racing car. You can hear it. It's much happier going ballistically fast than it is pottering around. And now, heaven for this car. You really have to get used to the steering though, because it is so slow. But it grips so brilliantly in the twists. Oh wow. It makes the pain of driving the car here absolutely worth it. Superb, eh? What a view today. Yo, Clarence Drive is good, and the Superboss on Clarence Drive is really good. That was such an awesome drive. Not really looking forward to the rest of the trip in this car though, but that gives us a chance to talk a little bit more about the Superboss. So first of all, it's clear that the appreciation for Superbosses is really growing. Where I stop now, there was a gent in a Hyundai i20 parked next to the road, and as I stopped, he jumped to the car and he said, "What an awesome soupy, man." The car has a following that is unreal. Our top selling product on our merch store, SentiMETAL, is this Superboss T-shirt. Not a BMW shirt or a Volkswagen item or anything. Superboss shirt, top seller. People just seem to, and I think what it is because it really was a David versus Goliath kind of story, and it wasn't only about the car, it was about the drivers as well. Mike Briggs, the youngster, against Tony Viana, the legend, and it was just so well hyped at the time as well by the brands, and it was big on TV and they were used in advertising. It was when motorsport was still really something in this country, and I think these icons will live forever, and the Superboss, I think, it's just growing, the reputation, the way that people talk about it, the way people ask about it, they want to see the Soupy. So really privileged to have one in the collection. As much as a pain in the ass it is to get going and to drive sometimes, when it does go well, it goes really well.